Take a breath. Feel your heart. What do you want to free yourself from? Today is Free Yourself Friday, and I want to talk about how freedom and transformation are actually a process. It doesn't happen like this. It's a process. So we take steps on our path, and we take the steps that we can take now. And it's a process of going within, letting things settle, being open and receptive to what comes, and then creating intention and desire. What do we want? What do we think that we want? What do we feel that we want? What do we imagine for ourselves? And then being open and receptive, letting that go because it's not going to look how you think it's going to look. So letting that go, knowing that you are being heard, and then looking for those signs in the universe that you are being heard. My boyfriend and I want to build a retreat in North Carolina, and we're going this weekend to check out some land. And we keep hearing, we keep finding people that are from North Carolina or going to North Carolina all over the place. Everybody that we talk to is either going to North Carolina, from North Carolina, and that's the synchronicity. So that's how you know the universe is hearing you, or God, or your higher self, however you think of it. Okay, so there's that. And then you wait for inspired action. You wait to know what the inspired action is, and then you take that inspired action. So the first step on my journey, once I realized I needed to get a divorce, and then I was just talking to Spirit about how to do it. And every time something would happen with my ex, we were in divorce mediation. I chose not to do the lawyer, although I had backup lawyers in case I needed to, and in case it didn't work out with mediation. Every time he presented something to me, I would take it in, talk to Spirit about it, figure out what I wanted, and then present that back. And then he would come up with something. I would take it in, take time for it, talk with Spirit, figure out what I wanted, and then take inspired action once I realized what it was. And through that process, we were co-creating. My ex-husband and I were co-creating. That is something that I always wanted to do in the marriage. I wanted to do that as part of our marriage. But what ended up happening with the marriage was we both were not very honest about our own needs. We had both learned to deny our own needs in our families of origin and repress our needs. And so we weren't honest with ourselves, so we couldn't be honest with each other. And when we finally ended up being honest with each other at the end of the marriage, we realized that our needs were too different and we couldn't stay together. But we were co-creating our divorce in a very pretty peaceful way. There were moments. And but I'm now in a relationship where we are co-creating constantly, and it's beautiful. It's that same process. Like, you have an intention, a desire, a feeling of what you want, and you put it out there to the universe. You look at all the synchronicities that the universe is hearing you and seeing you, and you are open and receptive. And then you're presented with things, and then you feel this inspired action, what you want to take inspired action. So I'm going to give you an example of how this plays out. So when I knew I was getting a divorce, I was starting to do more stuff for myself, by myself, and I wanted to do this, I forget what it's called, but in yoga, how they like sing, chanting, I guess, but it was like a chanting circle, and I wanted to do it. And a friend of mine also was into meditation, and I knew she liked these things, so I reached out to her. And when I reached out to her, she said, and I told her that I was getting a divorce, and she was very sorry for me. She's like, "Wait, I know somebody who just died, and they have a house." And I'm like, maybe we should wait until they can heel through the door. She's like, no, I know the wife. It's the ex-husband. And I'm going to call them right now and tell them that they should give the house to you. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do. So when she said that, I was like, oh my God, thank God. And she described it and it sounded so cute. And so she calls them and she's like, yes, they're going to sell it to you. So I go to the estate sale for this house and they're basically offering it to the highest bidder. And I was like, oh, it's such a cute house. It has so much potential, but it was like a wreck. It was a mess. And, but I had learned from my ex-husband how to invest money and how to make more money from your investments. So I was like, if I could buy a house and fix it up, then I could sell it for more. And then I'm using my money to make more money. So I was like, that would be a great idea. So I kept that in my head, but and was looking for just looking for different things. But I had to let that house go because if they were selling it to the highest bidder, I wasn't going to be able to afford it. So I let it go. And then in around this time of year, she calls me back and she's like, they're going to offer you the house. They want you to make a bid. And I was like, okay, but I knew how much work it was. And so I was like, I offered lower than I was going to offer in the first place, because in the first place, I was just like, I need some place to live. And this time I was like, this is a lot of work. If I actually get this house, I don't know how I'm going to pay for or do all that work. But there was something about the idea of this disaster of a house that somebody had neglected and abandoned. And the idea of working on that, because I had neglected and abandoned myself. So the idea of working on that house and working on myself and putting love and nurturance and energy back into myself was just like I thought it was such a nice thing. And the house had a fenced-in backyard. So I was like, I'm getting a German Shepherd. Because to me, a German Shepherd was love, protection, loyalty. It embodied everything that I wanted and everything I felt like I was. It kind of embodied like me. And so I was like, well, I don't think you can actually, I don't think you can actually adopt a German Shepherd because it's such a desirable dog. You probably have to get it from a breeder. So first I started looking from breeders and they were so expensive, and I was like, I can't really do that. And I didn't want to I always wanted to adopt, and I believed in adoption. So then accidentally I clicked on a friend's page who she was looking at, or it was an adoption for dogs page, and I clicked on it, and then I was just like, I joined. And the first thing that pops up is this German Shepherd, Luna, and I'm like, that's my dog. And so before I even had my house, I was like, I'm going to adopt this German Shepherd. And I applied to adopt her, and they accepted me. And I was like, okay, so I had to get my house ready. Well, first I had to get the house. So I actually was in the process of buying the house, and I explained the whole situation to them, and they were cool with it. And she was in foster care. So that's part of it, right? And then I'm trying to figure out which part to say next. That was she was my driving force. And I was my driving force, investing in myself. So I made those choices. And then I believe in love and connection, and that was something that I was really missing. And that was something I needed to be honest about, that I wanted love and connection. That was so important to me, and partnership, and to co-create with somebody. So that's what I was talking to Spirit about, and that was a major intention. In October last year, I went out to karaoke, which I love, which is one of my favorite things to do. I love to sing. And I went out to karaoke, and there was a guy there, and he was singing, and he just had this great spirit, and he was singing a song that I like the singer Jelly Roll, and there's another song by Jelly Roll that I loved, and so I said, will you sing this song with me? And he said, yeah. And he just had this energy and this spirit of I don't know, I could just feel his heart and his like just real openness. And I was just like, I didn't really think anything of it. He wasn't my type at all. He smoked and he just was not my type at all. But anyway, I sang with him and I was like flirting with him a little bit and then talking with him, and I didn't think anything was going to come of that. But and then he thought I was married. I was still married, but I was in the process of divorce. So that didn't go anywhere then. But then we ended up talking a little bit more, and somebody told him that I was in the process of getting a divorce. So we had planned a date, but then I was like, I have to file for divorce and buy a house all in the same week. So I need a little space. And I didn't want to take care of another man. Like I had to take care of the emotions of another man. Like I just had learned that we have to take care of their emotions and their feelings, and I had suppressed a lot of my own needs to take care of his emotional, and also so he wouldn't blow up. And so it was just like, I didn't want that again. And so I said, I got to put me first, and I need the energy to put into myself. So I said, hey, I know we made a date. I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I need 2 weeks. And he was a little bit upset, but he accepted that, and I think like didn't think it was going to go anywhere either. So then I'm in the process of trying to fix this house, and I get all of these contractors to do different parts because I want to get my dog. And so I had hired all these contractors, and they were working on different parts, and I had put off the dog another time. It's like, I couldn't get into the house yet. I was still living at my other house, and that was also hard to navigate. So oh wait, I had bought the house. I bought the house and filed for divorce. And then, oh, okay, here's another part. I bought the house and filed for divorce. And and then I kept thinking of this guy from karaoke. He just kept popping into my head, his face. And that never really happens to me. I don't really get a lot of visualizations. I get more feelings and knowings. I don't see things that much, but his face kept popping up into my head, and I'm like, that's weird. And I just kept thinking about him. And so at 4 a.m. one night, I just texted him and I was like, hey, are you still out there? And it was just on Facebook. And he responded, and he's like, you're awake? And I'm like, yeah, you're awake? And he's like, yeah, I just had to go to the bathroom. And then we just started talking, and we made a date. And we made a date for karaoke, and we went to karaoke, and we just connected on such a deep heart-centered level. And it was just really nice. And I just kept finding more and more synchronicities with him, like more like he would say things that I had put out to the universe. And one of them was like, he wanted to build a retreat, and I wanted to run retreat. So I'm like, oh my God, like, it was just really cool. It's the miracles they talk about in A Course in Miracles. Those synchronicities and those it's a miracle. But it's really like spirit connects you with what you're looking for, but you don't know what it looks like. You have ideas, but you have to be willing to let that go. Okay, so I started dating him, and it turned out that he was a carpenter, and he pretty much could fix anything. But I didn't want to put pressure on the relationship because I really didn't know that. I didn't know if this was going anywhere. I was just kind of like exploring and very surprised about things, but also never really let my heart open like that and let my heart feel what it was feeling. And it felt really safe to do that because every time I texted him, he responded. Every time, and he would do it back for me. Like it was like this nice flow of like, we were really being there for each other, and I could feel it, right? Like we were very connected right from the start, and that flow between us, I could just feel. And it was just very natural, and it felt like I could trust it, and he showed me that I could trust him. But I still had a lot of like trauma from my last relationship, and so it was It was this heart and mind thing. My heart and my mind were like at war. So it was like a push-pull kind of thing. Anyway, my dog was still in foster care and I wasn't in my house yet. So it was the weekend, and I was supposed to have somebody start most of the work on the house and be able to get it done like probably in a week. And then I could get my dog. And they canceled. And I was still at my old house and wasn't really, I was trying to find excuses to go out and meet with my boyfriend. So I said, let me just ask him to look at this house and see what he thinks really needs to be done in order to move in. You know, what really needs to be done? Because I've been getting different opinions from different people. Like, you don't want to move in until you do this. You don't want to move until you do this. And I really wanted to get my dog. So I said, okay. And then I get to see him too. So I was like, okay. I invited him over to look at my new house, and I asked him to like just check it out and tell me like what you think really needs to be done, and so I can move in. And so he's like, well, I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this. And I'm like, no, yeah, that's really nice, but like that would put a lot of pressure on our relationship. And if we want to have a good relationship, I don't think that's a good idea. And he's like, okay, how about we do it together? I show you and we do it together. And I was like, okay. So that's what we ended up doing. And it was funny because when I bought the house, I had imagined doing it with somebody else. And kind of doing it with somebody else who also needed love and attention. And that was really what we were doing. We were both doing it together, but he had also had a very traumatic story and so it, and then with my dog, I had her in foster care, and he was helping me get the house ready so he'd get her in time. And they called me one day, and I was like, it was right before Christmas. Like, I was getting her right around Christmas. And they called me, and they're like, there's another family that came to see her, and they connected with her. And can we give her to her? Can we give her to them? And I was just like heartbroken. I was like, I had already connected with her spirit, but I was like, but I love her and I want her to be happy. So I said to Spirit, I'm like, if this is what's good for her, then I will let her go. So I told them, you know, yeah, she could go with the other family. But then they called me back, and the guy who had her in foster care said, no, I want her to go with you. And I was like, yay! And we got the house all ready, and we got her like 2 days after Christmas, which ironically, this is funny, I never connected this before. Ironically, 2 days after Christmas was when my dog, Teddy, that I really loved, my dog Teddy, he was like my spirit dog. And she reminds me of Teddy a lot, their energy and their spirit. That's when my dog Teddy died. That same day. I think it might have been the 26th. It might have been the day right after. But I just connected that. A lot of times things happen in the same season, like that it happened a year ago. And I noticed that too about, I'm now letting go of my career as a marriage and family therapist and becoming a coach. And that is another transformation. And I was remembering back to when I started my private practice. I was a marriage and family therapist, but I had worked for other people, and I was in this really bad place, a really bad workplace that was horrible. It was so like abusive and like such a fearful place to work. And ironically, they're working with children, and you're supposed to try to make the children feel safe, but the whole like structure of the place made you feel unsafe. So you're supposed to create safety for other people, but you feel really unsafe. And the irony of that. But so I took this leap forward to start my private practice. I said to it was my husband at the time, but now my ex-husband, I said, I had kept telling him, I got to get out of this place. I got to get out of this place. And I kept applying to different places. And this had never happened to me before. I would usually get lots of different jobs, like offers and stuff, but nothing was panning out. I think because I knew I needed to be in private practice, but he was afraid of that. So he was kind of squashing that. And meanwhile, I had already started taking steps towards it, but I had just had to get out of that energy. And so it was August, and I told them that I quit. I just one day, like, my ex and my daughter were on vacation in Mexico, and I had to stay there because I didn't have vacation time. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I had already had 2 or 3 miscarriages there. I was trying to have another baby, and I had already had 2 or 3 miscarriages. So this place was just holding me back in so many different ways. And so I was like, I'm quitting. I quit. And he came back, and I was like afraid he was going to kill me. So I told him in a park in front of a lot of people, I'm like, by the way, I quit my job. And he was like, you quit your job and you don't have anything else? Go back and tell them that you need to stay at least a month longer. So I was like, all right, fine. I went back and I told them that I need to stay a month longer. They gave me like 2 weeks, and I was like, that's okay. You know, whatever happens, like, I want to have another baby. I can't work here anymore. If he divorces me, I don't even care at this point, because I need to do this for me. So I quit my job, and I started working from my home, in my home office. I had like a couple clients, and was starting to take insurance. And then I met somebody who was meeting with another person who was giving up her private practice, and she was going to give her clients to people. So this person was like, hey, you want to go meet her? And I was like, yeah. And I just connected with this woman right away. And I had all these reservations about going into private practice. Like, I could never work with insurance companies, and that's how you get paid. And it's just like so confusing and crazy to me, and I just can't do that. And this woman answered she didn't even know what my questions or my reservations were. And she answered every single one of them and said, it's so easy, you just do this. And so I took the leap. My friend that brought me there didn't take the leap. She was still in a safe job, and she wasn't ready to do that. She got kind of mad at me for doing it, but I had to do it. And so I took the leap, and she didn't give me any of her clients. She tried to give me some, and they were just not my clients. She tried to give me like a couple, which never would have helped me that much anyway, because she ended up staying longer than she thought. And so I ended up getting all my own clients. I was subletting at first, and then I took my own office, and I just took off. It started like probably around December that year, and everything just took off. And by the end of the year, I had like 20, 30 clients a week, which I never had that many. And I also was teaching psychology at a community college. So it all worked out, but I had to take a big leap. And so it's funny to me now, because I'm taking this other leap where I don't have a job. Well, it's not that I don't have a job. I have a couple clients, and I'm transitioning from being a therapist to a coach. I just want to tell you a little bit about that transformation, because it's something that I also am now leaping into. I said that I'm getting my website up, and I've been taking steps, and they haven't been working out, but this one I think is going to work because I'm ready. So I gave all my content to my person yesterday, and he's putting it together now. He said he would have something by Monday. I'm not sure if it's going to take longer than that or not, but anyway, I should have a website up soon. And I will be taking online clients. My boyfriend is working on an office for me, so I will be having an office soon too. Right now I have a temporary space with one of my friends. But it's just funny to me that I did this before, and it worked out. It's just kind of who I am, you know, like I don't know if everybody works that way, but I seem to work really well this way, and it's going to be okay, because I'm listening to my spirit. I'm listening to my higher self. I'm listening to God, and we're co-creating together, and I'm co-creating with my boyfriend, and it's such an exciting, amazing thing. And I had to leave a lot behind that was really devastating to leave behind what I left behind. It was really difficult. But I had just come to this crux in the road where it was either me or them. And now my new life, it doesn't have to be me or them. It's us. It's us together. It's everything together. My new life includes me. And that's what I wanted to say about becoming a coach. I'm a spiritual life coach. And what I couldn't do as a therapist, and every therapist has their own path and their own road, so I'm not knocking therapists. Some people are really happy in what they're doing and they find their own, so this experience doesn't speak to everybody. But for me, I was taught from very young to take care of other people, and I thought that I was just so great that I didn't have any needs myself. I convinced myself that. I think my parents were convinced of that. My friends probably were convinced of that, but that wasn't actually true. Inside, my inner child felt so abandoned and so neglected by me and everyone else. And she was so starved for love and attention and connection. And she's what I pushed down for so long. And she's here now. And she is my life. She's my life force. And I can express her now. And before, as a therapist, we were taught that you can't wear jewelry, you shouldn't wear jewelry, you shouldn't put your children's pictures out, you should be careful what you put out in your environment because you don't want anybody to feel like they don't belong. I didn't belong. There was no place for me. What the hell? What the hell is that? I'm like, no, this coaching feels right to me because I get to say who I am and how I want to work. And if you want to join me and work with me, and I'm a fit for you, then great, let's work together. That's going to be so exciting. I love showing people their light and their beauty and their strengths and having them see that and wake up to that. And now I get to be in the picture too. I was telling all my clients that. I'm like, don't leave yourself out of the equation. And us women and us helpers, we do that. We were taught to do that. In our society, we were taught to do that. So for Free Yourself Friday, freeing yourself is a process and a transformation, and it takes time, and it takes one step at a time, and it takes intention, and it takes receptivity, and it takes inspired action. And if you want to be on this journey with me, you should check out my website to come, lisareneeaubin.com. I am finding a life-work balance, so I'm only going to be taking a couple of clients per day. And for now, and I may up that a little bit as my healing progresses, because I'm still healing and putting my life back together. So if you want to get in with me, I would recommend that you do it now, and be on the lookout for my website. It's going to be lisareneeaubin.com. And it's not up yet, but it should be up fairly soon. And then you'll get more of an idea of who I am, how I can help you discover yourself and your own strength and power and purpose and creativity and joy and freedom and love and connection. And what I'm going to be helping people with, and what I'm going to be calling myself is it's okay to evolve too. I'm taking this a conscious coaching accelerator course from Victor Odo and Aaron Dowdy, and it's okay to evolve and change and grow. And I've been doing that a lot, like going back and forth a lot. But I think this latest version of what I want to offer kind of encompasses everything, because what I want to show people is that you are sovereign. You have everything that you need in you, and you have all this power, and you have this ability to free yourself from these control systems, whatever they are. If it's your marriage, if it's your identity, you can free yourself from that and really be you. And sometimes it is like a very polar opposite thing. So that's why it takes time. Like, where I was in my life and who I had been wasn't really like, it wasn't really like my core essence. It didn't reflect my core essence. So in choosing me and my core essence, I'm getting more of that. But the really funny part is that I'm actually doing a lot of the same work, but I get to do it in my way, in my creative, playful, joyful, present, calm, grounded. All of me gets to be there. Whereas before, you only had this little part of me, and I was trying to stay small in my little role of therapist, and I wasn't happy. And you didn't feel my energy and my light and my love. And I was present for you, but it was really sick. It was sick for me. I was sick. And now I get to be all of me and let you be all of you. And that's funny too, because that's something that I always believed. Like growing up, I didn't feel like I fit in my family. I wasn't treated like my sisters because I was so independent, and because I reminded my mom of my grandmother that she didn't, on my dad's mother, who she didn't like. And there was like kind of a cutoff, but I would still see them with my dad. I was named after both of my grandmothers. I was named after Elizabeth, my mom's mom, who I was very close to, and Irene, my dad's mom, who I was not very close to, and we all kind of made fun of her. Um, but I reminded my mom of her, and so my mom didn't like me very much, and I wasn't treated with the same love and compassion and protection that my sisters were. And so I always wanted to be able to, as a marriage and family therapy, create a space for everybody in the family to feel like they belonged and they were loved and they were able to be who they wanted to be. That was a big part of what I wanted. And so that's something that I also try to help everybody else create, and something that I learned. Like, I thought again in my marriage that I didn't have a place. There's no place for me. My place is supporting others. But that wasn't true. I actually get to be me and do the work that I love and be in a relationship with somebody and co-create and have the life that I wanted to have. And you can do that too. Whether you need to get a divorce like me, I can do spiritual divorce coaching. Or if you want to stay in your marriage, I'm going to do sovereignty coaching, and higher love coaching for couples. So if you want to create a higher love in your marriage and really learn how to be in your heart center, in your heart space rather than your mind, be in your body, embody who you are as a spirit, as love, energy, life force, and have a marriage like that where you co-create together. A lot of it is about integrating all these parts of yourself and being honest with yourself and learning to see and accept and love all these different parts of yourself and helping them to find a place in you and in your life. So that's what I'm helping people do, particularly women, but also couples. And I look forward to working with you. If I'm speaking to you and you feel, and I resonate with you and you feel me and this is exciting to you, then you're probably somebody who might want to work with me. Right now, you can find me on Psychology Today. I'm still a therapist. I'm going to let my license expire when it expires, March 31st. And I'm just not going to renew my license then. So I will still be on Psychology Today, probably only until I get my website up and running, and then I'm going to probably cancel that Psychology Today because that doesn't fully reflect me either. If you have any questions or comments, I would appreciate them as long as they're nice. And if you want to share a little bit about you, that's nice too. Thanks for listening.